Emma had always dreamt of visiting Dubai. Ever since she was a little girl, the stories of this dazzling city had filled her with wonder and excitement. She had spent countless hours poring over travel magazines, watching documentaries, and planning her perfect trip. The towering skyscrapers, the vibrant culture, the allure of the desert, it had captured her imagination for years. The Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, the bustling souks, and the serene desert dunes were all part of her dream itinerary. Finally, the day had arrived. She boarded the plane in Toronto, a mix of excitement and anticipation bubbling inside her. Her heart raced with the thrill of embarking on this long-awaited adventure. The flight was long, a grueling 14 hours to Dubai, but Emma was prepared. She had meticulously planned every detail of her journey, ensuring she had everything she needed to make the flight as comfortable as possible. She had her snacks, her eye mask, and her favorite playlist queued up. She had even downloaded a few movies and books to keep herself entertained during the long hours in the air. She settled into her seat, eager to begin her adventure. The hum of the airplane engines was a comforting reminder that she was finally on her way to her dream destination. Hours melted away, movies were watched, snacks were consumed, and the drone of the engine became a lullaby. Emma found herself drifting in and out of sleep, her mind filled with visions of the adventures that awaited her in Dubai. Then, as the plane drifted into its 8th hour of flight, the unthinkable happened. The cabin lights were dimmed, and most passengers were either asleep or quietly watching their screens. A sharp, stabbing pain ripped through Emma's chest. It was sudden and intense, unlike anything she had ever felt before. She gasped, her breath catching in her throat. Panic set in as she struggled to understand what was happening to her. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of her fear. She could feel the sweat forming on her forehead, her body reacting to the intense pain and fear. Panic swelled, threatening to consume her. She gripped the armrest of her seat, trying to steady herself, but the pain was overwhelming. Emma tried to call for help, but the words wouldn't come. Her voice was trapped in her throat, and she could only manage a weak, desperate whisper. Her vision blurred, the edges of her world fading to black. She could feel herself slipping away, the pain and fear becoming distant as her consciousness faded. She slumped in her seat, her body succumbing to an invisible enemy. The last thing she remembered was the concerned faces of the flight attendants rushing towards her. Unbeknownst to her, a silent threat had been lurking in the depths of her veins. A blood clot formed during the long hours of travel. This clot had traveled to her lungs, causing a life-threatening condition known as a pulmonary embolism. This was no ordinary medical emergency. This was a pulmonary embolism, and Emma's life hung precariously in the balance. The flight crew acted quickly, administering first aid and calling for any medical professionals on board to assist. The pilot made an emergency landing at the nearest airport, where an ambulance was waiting on the tarmac. Paramedics rushed to the plane, their faces set with determination as they worked to stabilize Emma and get her to the hospital as quickly as possible. In the hospital, doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to save her. The emergency room was a blur of activity, with medical equipment beeping and the sound of hurried footsteps echoing through the halls. Emma was given medication to dissolve the clot and prevent further complications. She was monitored closely, her condition critical but stable. Days passed and slowly Emma began to recover. Her family flew in to be by her side, their presence a comforting reminder that she was not alone. She spent her days resting, looking out the hospital window at the city she had longed to explore. Though her dream trip had turned nightmarish, Emma was grateful to be alive. She knew that her journey to Dubai was far from over, and one day she would return to explore the city that had captured her heart. Deep within the intricate network of veins in Emma's legs, a silent drama had been unfolding for quite some time. This drama was not one of visible symptoms or immediate pain, but rather a hidden menace that lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to strike. Unseen and unfelt, a blood clot or thrombus had formed. This clot was a silent intruder, slowly growing and posing a significant threat to Emma's health without her even realizing it. Unseen and unfelt, a blood clot or thrombus had formed. This clot was a silent intruder, slowly growing and posing a significant threat to Emma's health without her even realizing it. The formation of such clots is a complex process involving the aggregation of blood cells and proteins, which can be triggered by various factors. This phenomenon, known as deep vein thrombosis, is often triggered by prolonged immobility. When a person remains seated for extended periods, especially in cramped conditions, the blood flow in the legs can slow down significantly. This is a particular risk during long flights. The confined space and limited movement in airplane seats can create the perfect environment for a blood clot to form. Passengers are often unaware of the dangers lurking beneath the surface as they sit through hours of travel. As Emma sat, her legs cramped in the confines of economy class, her blood flow slowed, creating a perfect storm for clot formation. The lack of movement and the pressure on her legs contributed to the development of the clot, which grew larger with each passing hour. Emma had been taking birth control pills for several years. These pills, while effective in preventing pregnancy, have a known side effect of increasing the risk of blood clots. This is due to the hormonal changes they induce in the body, a factor that, unbeknownst to her, increased her risk of developing blood clots. Emma, like many women, was not fully aware of the potential risks associated with her medication. She trusted that the benefits outweighed the risks, not realizing the silent threat that was growing inside her. Hormonal contraceptives, while generally safe and effective, can subtly alter the body's clotting mechanisms. These changes can make some women more susceptible to DVT, especially when combined with other risk factors such as prolonged immobility, making some women more susceptible to DVT. Emma's situation was a perfect example of how multiple risk factors can converge to create a dangerous health condition. Her use of birth control pills combined with the long flight set the stage for the development of a blood clot. This hidden risk, often buried in the fine print of medical leaflets, had found its unfortunate target in Emma. The information was there, but it was easy to overlook or underestimate the significance of the warnings. The clot, a sticky clump of blood cells and proteins, grew larger as the hours ticked by. It silently obstructed the flow of blood in her veins, a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate. The longer it remained undetected, the greater the danger it posed to Emma's health. It silently obstructed the flow of blood in her veins, a ticking time bomb waiting to detonate, and detonate it did. The clot's presence was a constant threat, and it was only a matter of time before it caused a serious problem. With a sudden jolt, a piece of the clot broke free, embarking on a treacherous journey through her bloodstream. This fragment, known as an embolus, traveled through her veins, carried by the flow of blood. It traveled through her veins, through her heart, and finally lodged itself in the narrow vessels of her lungs, cutting off vital blood supply. This blockage, known as a pulmonary embolism, is a life-threatening condition that requires immediate medical attention. Emma was experiencing a pulmonary embolism, a life-threatening complication of DVT. The sudden blockage in her lungs caused severe symptoms, including shortness of breath, chest pain, and a rapid heart rate. She needed urgent medical intervention to save her life. The emergency medical team acted swiftly, rushing Emma to the hospital where she received the necessary treatment to dissolve the clot and restore blood flow. Her experience serves as a stark reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk within our bodies, and the importance of being aware of the risks associated with certain medications and lifestyle factors. Emma's story is a cautionary tale highlighting the need for vigilance and awareness when it comes to our health. By understanding the risks and taking proactive measures, we can help prevent such silent threats from becoming life-threatening emergencies. With proper treatment and care, Emma was able to recover from her ordeal. Her blood flow returned to normal, and she was given advice on how to prevent future occurrences of DVT. This included staying active, staying hydrated, and being mindful of the risks associated with prolonged immobility and certain medications. Today, Emma is more aware of her health and the potential risks she faces. She takes steps to stay active and informed, ensuring that she can enjoy life without the shadow of silent threats looming over her. Her story is a testament to the importance of awareness and proactive health management. Remember, the silent threats in our bodies can often be managed with the right knowledge and actions. Stay informed, stay active, and take care of your health. It could make all the difference. As the blood clot lodged in her lung, a wave of agonizing pain swept through Emma's chest. It was a pain unlike any she had ever experienced, sharp and unrelenting, as if her very life force was being squeezed out of her. Her lungs, starved of oxygen-rich blood, screamed in protest. Each breath she took felt like a battle, a desperate struggle to draw in the air that her body so desperately needed. The air, once a source of life, now felt thin and insufficient, each breath a monumental effort. It was as if the very atmosphere around her had turned hostile, refusing to provide the sustenance she needed to survive. Her heart, forced to work harder to compensate for the blockage, hammered in her chest, a frantic rhythm against the deafening roar of the plane's engines. The sound of her own heartbeat filled her ears, a relentless drumbeat that drowned out all other noise. Fear, raw and primal, gripped Emma. It was a fear that went beyond the rational, a deep-seated terror that came from the very core of her being. She knew something was terribly wrong. This was not just a momentary discomfort. This was a life-threatening situation. This was no ordinary panic attack. This was a full-blown medical emergency. Her body was in crisis, and she needed help immediately. Her vision swam, the lights of the cabin blurring into hazy halos. It was as if the world around her was dissolving, becoming less real with each passing second. The world around her, once filled with anticipation for her Dubai adventure, now seemed distant and surreal. The excitement she had felt just hours before was now a distant memory, replaced by a sense of impending doom. Her body, once a source of strength and excitement, was now betraying her in the most terrifying way imaginable. She felt weak, powerless, and utterly alone. Just as her consciousness began to fade, a flicker of hope emerged from the chaos. It was a small, almost imperceptible glimmer, but it was enough to keep her holding on. A call for help, made by a concerned passenger who witnessed her collapse, echoed through the cabin. The sound of that call was like a lifeline, pulling her back from the brink of unconsciousness. The flight attendants, trained to handle emergencies, sprang into action. Their movements were swift and efficient, a testament to their training and professionalism. They rushed to her side, their faces etched with concern, their voices calm amidst the growing panic. They spoke to her in soothing tones, trying to keep her calm as they assessed her condition. A glimmer of hope pierced through the fog of fear that had enveloped Emma. She could see the determination in the eyes of the flight attendants, and it gave her a small measure of comfort. Help, it seemed, was on the way. The flight attendants worked quickly, administering first aid and calling for any medical professionals on board. Emma's fate now rested in their capable hands, and she clung to the hope that they would be able to save her.